Story 1. The number of times you have to stand up for yourself over the dumbest things. Story 2. There is always something to do. Unfortunately, those things aren't fun. Laundry, cleaning, dusting. Oh, the fridge is dirty. When was the last time I cleaned the oven? Clean the windowsills and baseboards. When was the last time you shampooed your carpet? The ceiling fan blades are caked with dust that I'm breathing all day. On that note, did you change the filter on your air conditioning and heating unit? And don't forget to make sure the dryer lint trap isn't a clogged up fire hazard. That's barely scratching the surface. Story 3. Grief and how to cope with it. My cat, my sister, and my grandmother died, and my mother passed away last weekend. All within the span of 3 years, and I am only 26. I have heard of people dealing with much worse, but it is still hard every time. Story 4. My parents are aging. It is kind of tough to watch, but I am thankful I still have both of them. Edit. I hope people know I am being sarcastic when I say it is kind of tough. It is really tough. Story 5. People of all ages can be prone to illogical or irrational thinking. Story 6. I spend a lot of time alone. I have always been able to entertain myself, but many people are surprised or think something is wrong with them. As a single person, it is normal to have plenty of time at home. Story 7. It just never fucking stops. All of it. There is no relief or rest. Every day is a new problem, a fire to put out. Story 8. You have to decide what to eat for dinner every night. Story 9. About 95% of the friends you had growing up will eventually drift away. You will likely have only 1 or 2 close friends who want to spend time with you in person. Story 10. I am only in my 30s and grew up in the 90s. The world today is unrecognizable compared with the one I knew and loved. Story 11. Adulting never ends once it starts. The bills keep piling, the errands don't stop, and no one really hands you a map for how to do it all. Story 12. No one tells you that almost everything is a scam to get your money. Story 13. Once you are an adult, everyone expects you to have it all figured out. Story 14. Realize that it is just you. Even if you are married or have friends and family, it is down to you and only you to fix your problems, lose weight, recover from depression, get out of debt, or find a job. No one is going to do it for you. Story 15. Balancing work, personal time, relationship time, and chores is really hard. Story 16. No good deed goes unpunished. That made no sense to me for the longest time. Story 17. Furniture is expensive. Never be ashamed to buy secondhand furniture. Story 18. The gradual increase in pain in body parts as they wear out with age. Story 19. The reason adults take vacations and do nothing is not that they have changed. It is that they are so burned out that even things they once enjoyed feel exhausting, and they just want it all to stop. Story 20. Undoing childhood trauma you did not know you had, until you formed healthy relationships with people outside your family, can hit very hard. Story 21. Unless you are born wealthy or marry into wealth, you will likely need to work throughout your young, healthy years. Story 22. Irreparable damage from heartbreak, death, and betrayal. We are all supposed to do therapy, try to be healthy, and act like it is going to go away, when it just lives with you, the crushing grief as more pain piles on top of it. Not much broke my spirit until it did. Story 23. You spent your youth trying to get older. Once you get older, you regret not enjoying your youth more. Story 24. Someone you care about is an emotional safety net, and you probably will not realize it until they are gone. I never realized how much I counted on my dad being there when I could not handle something until he was gone. Story 25. There are no adults in the room. Nobody really knows what is going on. Story 26. The crushing loneliness, unexpected bills and taxes, and how global events can affect the cost of living. Story 27. The sheer primal terror of hearing a strange noise in your own house and realizing you are the adult who has to go check it out. Story 28. You keep getting laid off from your job. The company is downsizing. It is not your fault, but your entire source of income is gone and no one is coming to help you. Good luck. Story 29. Menopause. What do you mean that all these strange changes in my body are normal? I thought I was sick. Story 30. What it takes to thrive when societal norms change and the country nosedives into chaos. We do not live in the same world we grew up in, yet we are expected to thrive using the same methods from the past. Story 31. Appointments. When was the last time I had a checkup with the doctor? I don't remember. Nobody told me I should, so I never considered it. And food, it never stops. What do I eat today, tomorrow, the day after? Do I cook something new, stick with the old reliable, or get takeout? Just grab a few protein bars and an energy drink and call it a day. And friends, how do you go from a good social life to slowly losing it? One friend moves to another country, another moves across the state, a third has a child and you barely speak again, and before you know it you are sitting alone. Making friends as an adult is difficult. People tell you to find hobbies, but everyone is defensive around strangers these days. You cannot small talk with anyone. People do not take up hobbies. They sit at home doom scrolling. Finally, the realization that you are not really different from when you were younger. I'm 32. I feel exactly as I did when I was, 16. I don't feel more prepared or qualified for life, and yet here I am, somehow faking my way through it. Then you realize everyone does that. Nobody knows what they are doing. It got to the point where even my parents went from thinking adults knew everything to seeing that adults are just people like them. It's a weird feeling. Story 32. Growing up, new people and experiences are constantly thrown into your life. You start a new grade, school, sport, or club. You see more faces and may even make friends easily. As an adult, that eventually stops. It might not happen right away, but you settle into a job, life gets busy, and you may not have time or money for extracurricular activities. Then you see the same faces day after day, and life feels a little stale. Story 33. Being responsible for yourself means no one will remind you to pay your bills, go to the dentist, schedule appointments, and so on. Story 34. Everyone is out for themselves, even those closest to you. People do things you thought they'd never be capable of. It changes you as a person forever. If it hasn't happened to you yet and you think it never will, just wait. Story 35. Life is 80% maintenance, especially if you have children. Story 36. The death of someone close and the grieving process. Man, you think you have things figured out, but grief says otherwise. Story 37. Everyone is busy, and seeing your friends becomes a complicated puzzle with a missing piece. Story 38. The mind is willing, but the body is not always able and often hurts a lot afterward. Story 39. Medical expenses, grief, and financial hardships. Life becomes more difficult as you get older. Story 40. I feed myself daily, multiple times a day, week after week. I think 1/3 of my life goes to shopping, recipe reading, gathering ingredients, preparation and cooking, cleanup, ensuring the right utensils and kitchen accessories, and earning the income to pay for it all. Eat, sleep, work, have sex, play. Story 41. The constant pressure at every stage of life. Get a good degree, get a good job, date but not too many people, get married but neither too young nor too old, have children but not too many and only if you can afford them. Work hard, build a career, put in long hours, keep the house, spend time with your children without nagging, pay the bills, buy good quality but affordable food, cook for everyone, care for aging parents, maintain friendships while putting family first, and so on. The pressure to do everything at the right time and in the right way while juggling 1,000 balls is relentless. Story 42. 1 in 4 20-year-olds will experience disability before retirement age. Including fraud raises that number only slightly. Keep any disability policies you have and buy one if you do not. Do not make your family pay because you did not account for the statistical risk. Story 43. Not having children is an option, and it is a valid one. Everyone pushes you to have children, even people who still feel that pressure themselves. But they rarely ask why. They do not prepare you to think about it. Do you want children so you will not feel lonely later? What if your child has a family and wants to travel the world? Will you force them to take care of you? Maybe you want a child to do certain things, Again, you have expectations. Once you have expectations, a wish for a child may not work because your child is their own person. A child can choose what they want. You may be 70 and they may say, "Mom, Dad, I am on a different continent. I cannot take care of you. I have my own family and friends here. There is nothing you can do and nothing you should do about it." Right now, we guilt trip our children into doing things for us. We say, "I raised you. You owe me this." They do not owe us. They have their own lives. And consider the state of the world. We have too many people and the climate is deteriorating. Do we really want to raise children here? Finally, money. Imagine how much money and how many headaches you can save. Story 44. I never imagined how severe my fun little habit of drinking would become. When I was 14, I would sneak to the garden shed to steal my parents' bottles of spirits collected over the years for Christmas and New Year's parties. I drank alone in the living room and no one knew. When I was 17, I thought that when I turned legally able to drink, 18 in the United Kingdom, the fun would die down. When I was 26, I was attending Alcoholics Anonymous. When I was 30, I was drinking a liter of vodka every night and more besides, and I drank again as soon as I woke before work. When I was 32, I was admitted to hospital with liver failure. Now, at 34, I have cirrhosis. I wish someone had told that 14-year-old girl that messing with poison so drastically would ruin her life and almost kill her. She could never have prepared herself for that. Story 45. The sheer number of decisions you have to make every day and the fact that there is often no right choice for many things. Story 46. You can do whatever you want, but that does not mean you should. That lesson is usually learned the hard way. Story 47. One day you are springy and young, then the next day your knee starts telling you it is going to rain. Story 48. Damn. Everyone is so unhappy on this thread. What about waking up and realizing you're the person you always wished you could be as a kid? I never believed I would experience the joy of having a life of my own. Yes, it can be hard, the constant rat race, but there is a lot to be said for independence and for having the power to make the exact choices you want. Story 49. It shows just how much you don't know. My parents told me all my life they were preparing me for the real world. They prepared me for nothing. What they said was not remotely true. So adults don't know anything about the real world. Story 50. You have to work to play. Strolling through the grass barefoot is nice, but someone has to cut the lawn. A cold beer is nice, but it is not free. Steaks are great, but they are not free and someone has to grill them. That grill is not going to clean itself. Fatalistic but factual. Story 51. Do not throw toothpicks into the urinals. The crabs have learned to pole vault. Story 52. Back pain. Even my fitter, younger wife has it, and no one told me about it. Story 53. How many cardboard boxes do you have to break down, and why are there so many? Story 54. The fucking laundry, dishes, and dinner. Story 55. The bills start coming and they don't stop coming. What I originally thought Smash Mouth was singing about. Story 56. Disability. Sometimes you are just going about your business, planning your future, and your immune system decides to say, "I do not like how your brain is looking at me. You want a piece of me?" It changes your life forever. Story 57. How immature and selfish some adults can be. Most people grow up learning to be kind to others. Kindness has no entry requirement or upfront payment. Then you meet people who never got the message and are rotten inside, looking out only for themselves. It is shocking to encounter someone who acts as if the world owes them everything and views others as obstacles or stepping stones. Story 58. How to actually be an adult. When I was in school, I graduated in 2009. There was no class that taught paying rent or bills, budgeting, insurance, or other personal finance topics. My school did not offer automotive classes or any courses in practical life skills. It was not in the district budget, but we had a strict dress code. At home, did my parents teach any of that? Maybe, but we dissected a sheep eye in 4th grade for some reason. My niece is 15. She cannot read or write cursive. She cannot tell the time on an analog clock without using her fingers to count. She rarely misses school, so I suppose I cannot complain. Rant over. I blame marijuana. Story 59. A living parent's absolute heartache and fear after the death of the other parent. My father's cancer took him slowly but surely over 5 years, and I thought my mother would not be shocked when he finally passed, since he had been so very ill for so long. But that first night without him, I slept in their bed holding her, and I will never forget how tiny she felt as I cuddled her. As she sobbed herself to sleep, I lay awake listening to her cries and worried about her future for probably the first time. I felt protective instead of needing protection, and that shift has never left me. Story 60. Sadly, the death of a parent is difficult. I lost my dad when I was 24. That was rough, but it was nowhere near as devastating as losing my mother at 50. I am 57 now, and yesterday, November 12th, marked 7 years since she passed away. I always tell people, my mother taught me almost everything I know except how to live without her. Story 61. I got married to the man of my dreams, only for him to become a nightmare years later. He belittled me, put me down, and constantly blamed me for every problem. When he had a 1.5 year long affair, he blamed me and said that if I had been better, he would not have cheated. I found the courage to separate, but I had to rebuild my entire life on my own after he controlled every aspect and I was dependent on him. I had nothing in my name and felt helpless and stuck. Nobody prepared me for that. Story 62. Realizing just how much incredible stupidity, cruelty, and pure evil exist in the world. Story 63. How to talk to the police. Some people curse at officers and receive only a minor reprimand, while others face harsh treatment and a higher risk of arbitrary arrest. Story 64. Everything is on fire all the time. You have to make it all work somehow. Story 65. I remember my parents scraping snow and ice off the car. As a kid, I would sit cozy and warm in the backseat while they did all the cleaning. Story 66. The emotional reality of having a child. To be fair, words don't really do it justice. Your heart is now beating outside your chest to a rhythm of its own, and you will never get it back. Story 67. A little more lighthearted. The dishes you just washed will be dirty again by the next day, and there will always be clothes in the hamper. These chores never stop. Story 68. Bills come every 30 days. As an adult, that interval seems like 10 days. Time flies. Make sure you get a day or two of fun each month. Story 69. Watching your children grow up and knowing that I cannot keep them safe around the clock. Story 70. How lonely adulthood can feel, even when you are surrounded by people. No one warns you that most of your battles will be internal. Story 71. Dealing with the death of your parents, especially when it used to be you three and the rest of the family grieving for others who have passed, hits you like a train wreck once you honestly realize it. Story 72. Enjoying life with your kids, then realizing that one day you will die and miss the rest of their lives. They will miss you for the rest of theirs. It is as if we shower them with love only to rip it away. Story 73. Imposter syndrome made me a nervous wreck on the first day of my current job. Story 74. Losing friends, whether it's death, moving away, or drifting apart, can be pretty lonely for single people. Story 75. Do not disrespect your elders. Respect is earned, not given. Story 76. My parents getting seriously ill and passing away. How hard it is to earn enough money to live comfortably without support or generational wealth. How expensive it is simply to be alive. The upkeep of a house, bills, and daily expenses. Adulting is hard. I have just turned 31 and feel behind in life. I also think I may have autism or some form of neurodivergence, but getting a diagnosis is very difficult. There is very little time for general life administration when you work a full-time job and sometimes attend college full-time. Story 77. Save at least 10% of your paycheck. If you can afford more, save more. Open a savings account and do not touch it except for true emergencies. This can be your emergency fund for car repairs, unexpected medical bills, or to cover a deductible if your phone is damaged. Even better, contribute to your company's 401k retirement plan with each paycheck. Some employers match contributions up to a certain percentage, so start saving for retirement early. No one taught me this, and now I struggle financially. I am currently disabled because of heart issues, and supplemental security income can take months to process an application. Story 78. Watching our parents age is hard. I don't know if anyone has mentioned it, but I find it kind of brutal and no one really talks about it. Story 79. Every time you get a little older and think you have it all figured out, life hits you with the old haymaker and a new problem arises that you have no idea how to handle. I'm convinced we live life in levels, not years. I'm currently on level 31 and I have no idea what's going on. Story 80. There will never be a summer break again. That will be the case for the rest of your working life, and that is a very long time for most people. Enjoy your 2 weeks of vacation. Story 81. Managing your finances properly is a key skill that most people are unprepared for. Story 82. I lost my parents. I am 33 and officially an orphan as of 2 weeks ago. I feel like I am 10 years old again, looking for my parents in the department store, but they are not there. Story 83. No one is going to save you. You have to become your own hero and save yourself. Story 84. The fact is that no one actually has their stuff sorted. We are all just winging it. Story 85. Older people always told me they wished they were young again. Now that I am older, I find young people are often very foolish. I laugh. I'll take my wisdom over their immature decisions any day. Story 86. Nobody is going to save you. You have to do it on your own sometimes. Story 87. How alone you feel, because everyone is just too busy with life to lend you a few minutes. Take a look at the comments. Most users talk about how unending the chores, jobs, and troubles are. Others talk about grief and the deaths of family members. Everyone is busy dealing with difficult things all the time, and no one has a single second to spare for you anymore. I think it hits women even harder than men, as teenage boys already start to learn that they must endure everything and stay quiet. But the most depressed people I know are often women, usually the attractive ones who are always surrounded by family love, a large group of friends, and a lot of attention from men. Once they reach their 30s or older, parents may be too old or have died, friends may be too busy, and men may seek younger partners, leaving them suddenly overwhelmed by loneliness. It is hard. Story 88. Nobody ever tells you that one day you will need to parent your parents. Story 89. Most of the time, you are completely on your own and cannot count on friends or family for anything. Story 90. Old men in suits are getting elected based entirely on hating you and people like you. Story 91. If you want to live like an adult in a clean, tidy house, particularly if you have kids, adult life is just cleaning the kitchen over and over again until you keel over and die. Story 92. Preparing for your own aging or your loved one's aging. What will happen and what you will need to face. Story 93. Eventually, the people you thought were reliable will either die or abandon you. Rely on yourself and ask for help when necessary, but do not depend on others. Story 94. Aging as a woman. It's kind of gross and sad, but all the male attention you get when you're young will likely go away in your early to mid-20s. If you are 25 and older and still single, it can be very hard and exhausting to try to find a partner. If you do not find a partner by 30, the dating pool keeps getting smaller. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.